well, you guys all know, one of my favorite people in the world and always fun to talk to. The Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar, joins us right now live on Trunk Nation here on Volume. Sammy.
How you doing there, Eddie? You know, you're disrupting my beach time. You know that I'm already. You put me in a bad mood already. We're starting off on the wrong foot. You know.
Where are you, in Cabo?
Yes, and it's like 90 degrees. It's scalding hot. The ocean's out there, fish jumping. Oh man, the beach is calling my name, and Kari yells out the door at me, "Hey, you got an interview in 10 minutes." I'm going, "Oh man." So anyway, I'll be.
And
nice.
then you heard it was. Then you heard it was with me, and you came running right out of that ocean, didn't you?
I certainly did. What's the weather like back there, Mr. Trunk?
It's okay, man. I'm in Jersey. It's like 45. It's the way it's supposed to feel around this time of year. I'm okay with it. I'd rather be you. Who wouldn't rather be Sammy Hagar? But you know what? I'm working. I'm okay. I'll deal.
We're still upright. That's all that matters. So what can I talk to you about, Eddie? What do we got to talk about here?
Well, before I talk to you about
right?
Yeah, there's a few things I need to talk to you about. But before I do that, I want to ask you real quick about Cabo, because you were the guy that really put a stake in the ground there initially first a long time ago. What's it like now? How do you like it there now? You still have your business there, right? You still have the Cantina?
Absolutely. And I still have a home here, and it's changed. It's I can't even. There would be no way to explain the change except for anybody that's ever been to like the south of France or places like that, you know, in European beach, southern beach cities that are just wall to wall. Well, it is wall to wall now on both sides of the peninsula, going up the Pacific side and going up the Cortez side, which is where I live. But I just can't believe they put 7,500 rooms in here right around my house. I mean, like within that probably half-mile stretch, 7,500 rooms, new rooms. I mean,
wow.
You know, hotels with, 700-800 rooms each and all this stuff. But I still love it because I don't know. It seems like it hasn't lost anything. There's traffic now. You know, used to be no traffic, a lot of dirt roads, and they're all paved roads now. You know, it's like a city. There's about 400,000 people live in the southern Baja Peninsula, and when I came here, there was about 6,000.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's unbelievable. When I came here in 1978, and I built my first place in '83, and I've lived here ever since. You know, part time, and I still love it. It's the best weather in the world. Like I said, it's like 90 degrees. The ocean's about 82, maybe 82, 83 degrees. The air is 90, and it's just, man, come on. I get to go down and sing when I want. It's great.
Have you expanded, Sammy, on the Cantina and your businesses there with the area getting so much bigger and more populated? Have you grown as well, or you kept it where it was?
No, I kept it where it was. I overbuilt to start with. If you read my book, you'll see that when I built the Cabo Wabo, I built it in square meters, and I thought it was square feet. And the architect was talking meters, I was talking feet. So I was like 3,300 square feet. So and I did buy the property next door a long time ago, but it's about 20,000 square feet. You don't need a bigger cantina than that. And, it holds about 800. You've been there. It holds about 800 people standing, but we can't do that now. We can only put 250 people in there, and they have to be. Tables are all far apart. All this COVID crap. But it's not quite. The big party right now. You got to kind of stay in your seat, like when a band's playing, you get up, you got to put your mask on if you go to the bathroom. You have to be eating. If you're going to drink, you can't drink without eating. All these crazy ass rules, but hey, it's still working. There's 250 people sitting in there right now, I guarantee you.
Yeah. I actually have never been there. One of these days I would love to, but I've actually never been there. Yeah, I never made it. No, I never been there. I've never been to a birthday bash.
Is it because I never invited you by accident?
Maybe that's part of it.
No, bullshit. No way. You're invited any place I am, anytime, any place, anywhere. Well, this year there wasn't a bash, but I snuck in on my birthday, and there was 250 people sitting in there, and I snuck up on stage through the back, and I walked out with an acoustic guitar and played for about an hour and a half. It was so cool. We had to lock the doors because there's always a line out in front, you know, a small line, people trying to get in when somebody leaves. And had to lock the doors down. People were beating on the doors. Open the doors. We can't, though, because they watch you like hawks. You know, this is Mexico. They like to stick you up. You know, they like to go, oh, you broke the rules, $10,000, you know, okay, we're going to shut you down. You know, they like to have reasons to fine you, if you know what I mean.
Right, right.
But it's all good. I love it down here. I'm very happy in Cabo.
So speaking of the birthday stuff, that's the reason I reached out too, because when because of COVID, you had to do your birthday thing radically different this year, where you went to Catalina and you did this pay-per-view show. And after I watched it, I was texting with you, telling you how great I thought it was. And at the same time, I also said, Sammy, you got to do another run with this thing, because you've got to give people a chance again to see this, because it's too good to be like a one and done. And I saw a press release coming out that that's exactly what you're doing again. So I didn't have a chance to talk to you about the Catalina deal before you did it, but now with it getting a rebroadcast, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for people to get hip to it. So you're running it out there again. Is it this weekend? I don't have the press release in front of me.
It comes Wednesday, this Wednesday. You can watch it again. It's like 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern. And the thing is I know I feel like you did. It was so good, and I spent so much energy. I mean, we worked so hard to get this done. You know, nobody wants to let you do anything. So we said, okay, we'll just play on the beach, right on the beach, so the people, you know, they put the stage on the beach so the water's right there so people can't be on, you know, come up to the front of the stage. And then we'll let people in boats. We'll play for people in boats, but we couldn't advertise either because then there would have been too many boats. It was crazy. We jumped through a lot of hoops and got it done, and it's the coolest thing. I'm just in love with this concert because the circle's so damn good, and we were so horny, man. I mean, we didn't even have any people. You know, there was like 30 people around the stage, maybe, or something, and outdoors on this beautiful, gorgeous island called Catalina off the southern coast of California. And then we had about 150 boats out there with maybe 5 people on each boat. But it was so fun just to play, for God's sakes. We were just going, oh, this is awesome, and we filmed the crap out of it. But anyway, so I wanted to play it again because so many people, you know, said, oh, I didn't get to watch it. Oh, I didn't know about it, and all this stuff. So what we're doing is we're going to put an encore on this Wednesday, and if you paid for it already, if you watched it once, you get it for free. Everyone say, well, how much you want to charge it? You can't charge people again. You know, and probably most people filmed it anyway somehow, but no, so if you've already ordered it, you just go to Nugs again, I guess. I don't have all that information. I don't know how to do that stuff. And you can just watch it again. And if you missed it, you can buy it again. And you can buy it now, and you can watch it anytime you want. Like you can watch it next year. You can watch it on Thursday if you want. You can watch it on Tuesday instead. You just have to get it within a certain time frame between now and Wednesday, I think. But I'm so bad at technically, you know, I tell all my friends and my family, I say, you just go find your closest user-friendly teenager and bring them over, and they'll show you how to hook it up to your big TV. Otherwise, you're watching it on your iPhone. That ain't the way to watch this concert. You need some headphones or a big PA system. Crank that sucker up. It's a real concert. It's in 4K. It's slamming. I'm so proud of this band. God, we just, after not playing that long, we rehearsed one day. Then we did a dress rehearsal for the cameras, and then we just played the concert and filmed it. And it was like, what? Wow, this band. I love this band.
It's incredible. It's incredible. The band's incredible. I don't know how many times I got to say, you are amazing and an inspiration that at your age you effortlessly go up there and sing this stuff. Like it's remarkable. The band, the setting was amazing. I was telling people before, I guess there was a curfew because it's done in the daylight. The set list was incredible. It was just great. You go around the city, you show everybody a little bit of the areas, you do a little walk and talk. I mean, it was really a great production. And I know you were telling me after it ran the first time that you were really happy with the set list and the performance. It was one of your favorite things you've done recently.
It was the only thing we've done recently, so it was my favorite. It was like, man, getting to play. But, you know, we added a few songs, like we added the Van Halen song "Good Enough," from the opening of 5150, the "Hello Baby" job, and it just. And I took some of the other Van Halen stuff out. The Van Halen stuff was quirky because of what happened, that Eddie had just passed a couple of days before that, and who the hell would have ever thought that? And it was just tough because we had to go out there and do that. But I felt like, geez, we should have tried to cancel it or whatever. But I mean, hey, we had a whole crew of about 60 people on that island for a week, flown from all over the country. They built the stage. We got a permit from the city, which was so tough. Los Angeles is locked down. As anybody that knows about Los Angeles, it's one of the worst places as far as how strict they are for locking it down. You can't do this, you can't do that. And man, we got all that done. And then if we'd had to throw that out the window, the whole thing would have been squashed. And so we got it done. But the set list was really great. We had Rick Springfield came out and did "I've Done Everything for You" and Jesse's Girl with the band. Had Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon. He comes out and does "Roll with the Changes." And man, it was just like we threw the birthday bash without the people. That's actually what we did.
It truly was great. Honestly, I mean, and look, people know how much I love you, but I'm not just saying that. I got to tell the audience that it was really, really good. There's been so many of these streaming things, and honestly, I'm a little numb to them at this point because they're coming at you from every angle now. But this was a unique setting. You played a great cross section of your catalog. I've never heard "Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy" done that chunky before. There were no keys in it. I loved it. You guys were chunking that one out. You made that one almost sound heavy. But
it's so funny when you told me that, when you sent me my first text after you saw it, and you said, "I loved Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy." I thought, me too. It's like it was Jason's idea. Jason says, "Let's play Your Love Is Driving Me Crazy." He loves that song for some reason. And I said, "We gonna have keyboards, And he said, I'll sample the keyboards." I'm going, "No, you won't sample no keyboards. We're not going to do that with that song. It's too poppy and too wimpy." And Vic says, "Don't worry about it, man." And Vic just started chunking it up at rehearsal. It was great. I mean, it's a keeper. That's a keeper in the show. It's so up-tempo and so happy and fun and sing-along, Anyway, but we got a pretty rounded set list, I would say, between Montrose, Chickenfoot, early Sammy, post-Van Halen, Wabos, The Circle, and Van Halen songs. And if you want, we go Led Zeppelin. That's the only thing we left out was Led Zeppelin on this thing, because I thought, you know what? We don't have time to be playing everything. If I would have wrote one of those songs, it'd be different, but it was great.
I want to ask you about so when you were going to do this concert, the day that we lost Eddie, I texted you and Michael at the same time, and you got back to me immediately and said, we're actually on our way to Catalina. So I guess it was the day before you shot it. And one of the reasons why I think this probably was, lost maybe a little in the shuffle is we all know for pretty much most of the last month or so, the world has been transfixed on losing Eddie. What was it like for you learning that information? How did you learn it? And then did it cast a bit of a cloud over getting hyped up to do this big birthday bash?
Yeah, it sure did. But there was a silver lining to it for what happened in the end. It was 2 days before we did our first rehearsal, I think. It was something like that. And I got the news from my management, and Irving Azoff and called me and told me the news, and it was devastating. I don't even have to go into that. I think anyone knows it was as tough as any loss I've ever had of a family member, any loved one. It was like that. It wasn't like, oh, just some guy I know. It felt much stronger than I even imagined it would. But never mind that. So it's what happened was we went into rehearsal, and it was tough. Mike and I almost couldn't play the Van Halen songs. It was like, geez, So I started shuffling the songs. I started taking songs out of the set, trying to make a set list because I'm going, man, we're going to be filming this. The whole world's going to see this. I can't be like breaking down in the middle of a song. So at the dress rehearsal, which we filmed, we had nothing. It was like, what am I doing here? I can't do this, And Mikey the same way. I don't know. It's really hard to explain. I hope someday I'll get some of that footage from the dress rehearsal day, because we filmed it in case something went wrong on the concert. We said, oh, well, we've got that song here, and it was totally unusable. It was like lifeless, just lifeless. You could just see it. I can't explain it. But the second day, when we came in to film it, after we finished that day, Mike and I sat there backstage before we were getting ready to go, and we just looked at each other. You know, man, we got to pull this off. We got to, we got to do this for the right reasons. And almost like when the piano part came in for Right Now, and I said, let's have a moment of silence. This is from the Catalina concert. I said, let's have a moment of silence, and we took a minute and have silence, and even the boats went silent. It was like the birds went silent. And then we busted in when the piano part came in, and Right Now, I just fucking looked at Mike. He looked at me. I just said, wow, let's go. We had work to do, and that was carry on the music, and we did it. And it was one of the greatest, like I'm telling you right now, you can see, to me, it was one of the greatest performances of the song Right Now and Good Enough. And any of the songs that we played, the Van Halen stuff, it was as good as it's ever been, maybe better than the Circle was playing them before. It had purpose. And, that's sometimes that's what happens, through adversity and stuff, you get stronger or you dig in to some other place. And we did it. And I just looked at Mike, he looked at me. It was like, let's go, man. We know what to do. This is what Eddie would be doing. If he was healthy, he'd be freaking playing music. So anyway, I felt more comfortable with it, and it's still tough, but yeah, that concert was special.
Well, the way you handled it, I thought was very classy because it was understated, but the message got out there. You like you said, you played the hell out of the song. But even the beginning, the keyboard part comes up, and you and Michael just do the sort of the VH sign, and you go, everybody put them up. You know what this is for. You didn't even have to say, obviously, in memory of Eddie. You didn't make any speech. You just let the music and the song, say the words.
Yeah, it's really hard to find that middle ground, Eddie. I know you know it because you've interviewed every person probably in this business since then, and to talk about someone like Eddie Van Halen, the greatness of him, and to try to explain it to people or try to tell old stories and all that, it's still not time. I don't feel comfortable with it yet. I couldn't talk about it. When I was on stage that night, that day, if I would have tried to say anything, I would have choked up. I wouldn't have been able to do it. So it just feels like, what is understood need not be discussed. That was a famous thing that we used to say in Van Halen. You just put your hand in the air and go, hey, what is understood need not be discussed. Sometimes we don't have to talk about this. And that's kind of the way it felt the most comfortable. Hard to talk about it. I still haven't talked about it, by the way. And I can see, I knew you would be roping me into this because I know you and you know me. It's hard not to bite, but I haven't talked about it yet, and it's a tough one, I don't know. I just can't believe it. I'll never play with that guy again.
Well,
I thought it was inevitable.
Yeah.
Once we patched everything up at the first of the year, Eddie and I were definitely talking a lot and texting like teenagers, and really love fest, really good stuff. And it's like, hey man, as soon as I'm feeling better, let's make some noise. Can't wait to make some noise. And hey, you and I wrote some great songs together. Let's do it again. And it was just, I thought, man, this is great. It's going to happen. And I was telling Eddie, I said, Eddie, I'm 73 years old, dude. He was talking about next year. I'm 73 years old, dude. I don't know if I can sing a Van Halen set next year. I said, let's just be friends and working from there. It was like that kind of a deal, and it's hard to believe that it's never going to happen. But whatever.
Well, Sammy, you had so many ups and downs with him in the time you weren't in the band, and I know that you could tell deep down inside you wanted that reconciliation with him, and you said you guys started that at the first of this year. How did that come about? Did you reach out to him, or did he reach out to you?
I reached out to him. It's the craziest thing. Every New Year's Eve, or let's say Alex's birthday or Eddie's birthday, I would reach out to Alex and say, hey, dude, how you doing? How's Eddie doing? Tell Eddie I would love to talk to him. Give him my phone number, like if he ever wants to be, friends again, And I'd never hear back, ever, ever, ever. And then one time, a couple years ago, Eddie on his birthday said, oh, thank you, happy birthday to you too, or something, or Happy New Year's to you. Anyway, he got back on my text. and on my Instagram. I
remember that.
It was, that was odd, but then no word. So anyway, long story short, George Lopez, the Mexican comedian, my dear friend and Eddie's dear friend, George and I stayed in contact. I don't play golf, but Eddie used to play golf with him. And so George saw him about February of this year, and George calls me and says, Sammy, you got to call Eddie. This is fresh for you. This story is not out. You got to call Eddie. He loves you, man. I just with him, and he's having a hard time. He's really sick, and but he loves you. You got to reach out. I said, give me his phone number. So he gave me his phone number. I reached out. The first thing I said was, hey, Ed, I've reached out I called Al. I've left messages for Al, emails. I left emails with Irving Azoff. And he goes, yeah, but you didn't call me. Why the fuck didn't you call me? And I said, oh, man, that's all I needed to hear. Like what a wise guy. He had to just give me a little poke, So I said, well, I'm calling you now, dude. And it was just one big love fest. It was like, man, I love you. I miss you. And we just went on from there. It was just such a great feeling. But the first thing he said was, please don't tell anyone about this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want someone trying to stir up a reunion. I don't want people to know about my health. And I said, you got it. So I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my friends that this was going on. And about 2 months ago, I told my manager and I told Mikey, because Ed said, hey, tell Mikey. I said, hey, man, give him my love. I miss the guy. And so I told Mike that, and Mike was going like, what? But when you got a person in his situation with the fame and the mystique, and then the being ill, I'm on his team. I would never go out and publicize that. There's so many people that try to milk their illness or something. You know what I mean? It's like I don't like it. When a celebrity goes underground and wants to stay that way, I'm all for it. So,
hey, let me ask you. So Wolfie was on with me and has been making the rounds, and he was on with me last week.
I love Wolfie. I heard him. He's the best, man. What a great kid, man.
He really amazing how grounded he is, and he's so. I mean, it's impossible not to root for that guy, and his new music sounds great. But he said. And, Michael had mentioned this on the show, that he had said that he was really pushing his dad, and they were talking about doing what they called the Kitchen Sink Tour, which he was going to bring back you and Roth and Sharon and Michael, and Wolfie would open the shows and then maybe come out and jam at the end. So that was the whole grand plan that Wolfie confirmed. How on your radar was that, and would you have been down for that?
Of course. And it was totally on my radar. No one had confirmed any of it, but it was obviously what was going to happen. I wouldn't look forward to having to share the stage with Dave, only because he's not user-friendly. No, I love the guy. I love the music, all that. But, I don't have to tell you, he's just not user-friendly. He's always going to pull something to try to make you look bad and make him look good and all that kind of stuff. But it would have been a blast. Are you kidding me? It was a dream come true. I've been an advocate of doing the Sam and Dave tour.
Yeah.
From day one. You go all the way back to the first reunion when Sam and Dave went out, and Dave went out with me that time for that tour. That was the idea of it, was to try to get the brothers' attention to do the reunion way back then and do it again and again and again. I mean, give the fans what they want. And the cool thing about it would be that if I came out and did two songs, this is the way I presented it to them 2 years ago. I said, I actually presented it to Irving Azoff, their manager and my old manager. And I said, Irving, I'll come out and do two songs. I leave the stage, Dave comes out and do two songs. He leaves the stage, I come out and do two, like that. Not like one guy has to open the show for the first hour and then the other guy comes for the second hour, and you got to flip-flop and all this kind of crazy stuff that Roth would always insist upon. Because it should either be chronological, either he comes out first and does the whole thing, and then I come out and do the whole thing, then Gary Sharon comes out for the encore, But it seems like the only way to do it properly is 2 and 2, 2 and 2 and 2, and that would have been so badass, because you don't think that each one of us would have frickin' sucked it up and given it 135,000%, trying to blow the other guy off the stage, song after song, it would have been the greatest thing ever. But anyway, I get excited just talking about it. You can hear this. I'm totally fired up about that. But, you know, it ain't going to happen. Like I think Wolfie also said, I heard him say on your show that there's not going to be a reunion without, I mean, there's not going to be a Van Halen without Eddie. I mean, come on, there's no such thing. You know, I wouldn't consider. That I'll tell folks right now, don't look at me, if there's some kind of a thing. A tribute show, one-off for the fans, for charity and all that, yeah, absolutely. With some great guest guitar players, I would be part of that. But no farther than that, man. Without Eddie, there is no Van Halen. That's all there is to it.
Last thing, and I'll let you get back in the water. You know, I asked Wolfie about this, too. I'm thinking of Alex. You know, Alex Van Halen, to my knowledge, never played with anybody but his brother. They were unbelievably close. He was incredibly loyal to him. And I was asking Wolfie how Alex was doing, because he's been obviously extremely quiet through all of this, understandably grieving and dealing with it. But you had said that you were in touch with Alex. Have you heard from him since, and do you know how he's doing?
No, I have no idea. I reached out to Alex the day I heard. I reached out to him a couple days later. I reached out to him again maybe 2 weeks ago, and no response. So obviously he's grieving, or maybe I got the wrong number. I don't know, but I feel very bad for Alex. Alex has played his whole life with his brother. I just can't imagine what he would want to do, musically from here on out. And Alex is a great musician. I mean, he's not just a drummer. Alex, he plays keyboards and stuff. I mean, he's a tech kind of guy. He knows a lot about Pro Tools and stuff. I mean, he could do something. I don't know what he could do, but I would imagine he's in deep thought right now. And my love and it goes out to him. I tell you right now, man, that would be the hardest thing ever. But speaking of Wolfie, let me just make one statement. I've been thinking about this a lot. When he was first putting little snippets on his Instagram and stuff, I was following him. And, there were these people that were getting in his shit about not sounding like Van Halen. And it kills me. I think he's handling it so well. I can't believe how grown up this kid is for his first time out there to be on You and to be on Stern and be on these. I mean, he's jumped right into the big time. He may have done a tour with Van Halen, but that ain't jumping into the big time like being You, like him on his solo, being Wolfie Van Halen now. And I think he's handling it really well. And for those people out there that want him to sound like his dad and follow his dad's footsteps, it would be like, what if Eddie would have followed his dad's footsteps? He would have been, a jazz player with a clarinet in his band. You know what I mean? So you don't follow your father's footsteps. I'm a firm believer in you don't do that. And Wolfie shouldn't do that. He's a talented little guy, and he's got a long career ahead of him with music. He plays every instrument great. He grew up around one of the greatest musicians ever in rock history, Mr. Eddie Van Halen, and his brother, a great musician, and all the people that played in that band and came over and hung out, Steve Lukethers of the world, people just hanging around that studio all the time. He saw some great musicians in person, listened to them, and he's got a career, and I love him for it, and I wish him the best, and I can't wait till this COVID crap's over. I'd like Wolfie to do some shows with the Circle, or I'll go see him anytime. I mean, I'm full support of Wolfie, man.
Yeah, and I agree with the decision for him to do his. He said to me, my dad every time would say, "No, man, do your thing. What you're doing is good. Do your thing. Don't do me. Do you." And I think it's a smart move, and he diffused it right away on social media, and I think that's great. I promise you, is the last thing. I just thought of this. So much has been made of the tapes, right? Because I talked to Wolf about this. What's in that studio, the vault, all the unreleased stuff. Wolf said it's like countless things that would all have to be gone through and looked at, and some of the tapes have to be baked, and it's down the line. They'll evaluate what might or might not come out. What, from your era, from the 4 albums you made with the band, was there a lot of over-recording? Were there a lot of things that didn't make it? Are you aware of stuff that could potentially be like a posthumous record of your era of stuff? Do you remember doing a lot of extra stuff that didn't make it on records?
We did a little bit, and I know exactly which songs they are. There's 4 songs that I remember that we actually had lyrics and sang. We just didn't. They didn't make the album. There's only about 4 from my era, but I'm sure Eddie's got a ton of music and stuff where him and Al would just be out there jamming and doing stuff. Eddie was always in that studio. We never over-recorded because we were always so.
Oh, we just lost his phone, I think. We just lost his phone. Alex, go to a quick break. Let's see if we get him back because I'm late for a break anyway. Do a quick break and we'll see if we can resume this right after this on Trunk Nation. But you were telling us where we were left was you were just talking about not over-recording and that you think maybe there's about a total of 4 unreleased songs from your era of Van Halen that could, potentially come out at some point. But you were just talking about that you never recorded all that much extra.
No, we didn't. We were always in a hurry to go back on the road. It was so crazy, Van Halen. We did album tour for the 10 years I was in the band, and the longest we ever took was for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, where we took kind of like a 2 or 3 year hiatus. But really, we were working slow on that record, and there was a couple songs from that, and there was a song from the right before the reunion tour. I think there was an extra tune, but anyway. Things that didn't make the record the first time, my opinion, that they wouldn't make a record the second time either. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like there would be ever any bad Van Halen music, but it just, the songs probably just weren't up to par, and we all felt that way. So what made the record was the good stuff.
Yeah, but you and I both know, people are sadly, in the last 25 years, there was so little output from Van Halen in terms of to the public. You had Balance. You had the album with Gary, 3, and then you had the last album, which was 7-8 years ago. There's 3 albums total released in over 25 years in the band's history. So fans are just, anything from any era, and especially now with him gone, they're clamoring to know what's in that studio, what's on those tapes, and what we might get at some point. And it's interesting that, it sounds like there wasn't. We also know that Van Halen always mined old songs brought old songs into, current records at the time. So it's interesting to know there wasn't too much from your period that would be sitting around.
No, you know what the coolest thing that's in that vault from my era would be? The day that I walked in that studio to jam with Van Halen in 1985 to see if I was going to join the band. And we recorded all that stuff, and we recorded, a rough version of Good Enough, a rough version of Summer Nights, and a blues jam. We played this slow blues, it's a 12-bar blues, and I was just scatting and making up words and just jamming, the 4 of us. And there's probably hours of that. I would love to hear that because that's just so raw that it's not like it's not something you would compare to a finished product, there's I'm sure there's some very interesting stuff in that vault. Let me tell you, Wolfie's definitely got a little gold mine on his hands there.
Did you play Montrose in your first ever jam with them? Because the Van Halen loved Montrose, obviously, and was an influence. Did you guys do a Montrose tune by chance?
Well, we used to play Make It Last. We used to play Rock Candy a lot.
Right, but in the audition, did you jam one in the audition?
I don't think so. I don't really remember. I just remember the slow blues, Good Enough, and because Eddie had that guitar with that bass string on the bottom, and he started playing that riff, and I went, whoa, man, this is so badass. And Summer Nights, because he had that Steinberger guitar with the lockout capo on it, on the whammy bar that you could modulate. And he was showing me how it's worked, and I'm going, what the hell is this thing? I don't even know how to use a whammy bar. And he's like going, wang, gang, gang, and all this stuff. And I just started singing Summer Nights on that chorus. I just remember that was a done deal. And there's some good memories, man. I don't know. You got me thinking. Now I'm going to go back on the beach. It ain't going to be the same. My brain's going to be thinking about all that stuff. I might have to write a second book, man. I don't know.
Well, people would love a second book from you. Your first one was awesome, and I'll let you go and get back to the beach and remind everybody again, check out Sammy's birthday bash. It truly is a tremendous concert, and it was done a couple days after Eddie passed away. So I think in some ways, because the Van Halen community, the rock community was so focused on that. Maybe this got overlooked a little bit, but it shouldn't be. So I'm really glad you're putting it out there again. Go to nugs.tv to learn how you can get it and subscribe to it and watch it on Wednesday, or as Sammy said earlier, whenever you want. But it really is worth getting. It's shot brilliantly. It sounds great. The band's great. You sound great. It really was a lot of fun. And I rarely don't sit through a whole 2-hour video concert of anyone unless it's really great. And I watched every minute of it. It was killer.
Right on. Well, thank you, Eddie. You're the best. Keep doing what you're doing, because we need guys out there promoting rock and doing the right thing and not letting this COVID thing take us down. So hang in there, buddy, and I can't wait to see you.
Same here. Best to your family, and enjoy the beach, and have a great Thanksgiving, my friend. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Bye, y'all.
See ya. Sammy Hagar, everybody. As always, we appreciate the time with him. Just one of the best.
Thank you for tuning in, and please hit that like button, it's appreciated. Make sure that you subscribe for more rock-related content.